What is going on, everyone? Welcome to Beginner Bitcoin Q&A on this beautiful Monday evening. We've got Satoshi Nakamoto in the audience. I see D++. I'm going to invite her on up to speak. We always love when D++ joins us. We've got BTC Sessions. We've got Dennis Porter. We might have Guy Swan. We've got Bobo Dread joining later as well. It should be a good old Monday night of answering Bitcoin questions. We're going to wait for the room to fill up just a little bit, listen to a little bit of Sticky Buds. Sticky Buds is a Bitcoiner, and we're happy to share his music. If you're new to Cafe Bitcoin, do us a favor and click on Cafe Bitcoin at the top left and join the club. We've got events on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Every day of the week we've got events going on. We've got Beginner Bitcoin Q&A on Mondays. We've got lightning events on Wednesdays. We've got rooms in other languages. We've got, if you can name it, we've got a Bitcoin room for that. You can find out more info about Cafe Bitcoin at cafebitcoin.club. We've got a whole list of amazing beginner resources there, links to free books, documentaries, websites, all sorts of things. Heck, you go there, you probably don't even need your questions answered tonight, but we're here anyway. I'm going to turn down the music just a little bit. And also, do us a favor, folks, click that plus sign down at the bottom and invite anybody you know who might enjoy this show and have a question about Bitcoin or might enjoy hearing others ask questions about Bitcoin if they're a little shy, they're new to Bitcoin. So welcome to Dread, who's just joining us, and to my co-host this evening. How are you all doing tonight?
Yo, I'm great.
Oh, sorry, I had my volume turned down all the way. I couldn't hear a thing you said.
Greetings.
What's going on, people?
After those introductions, I feel like I need to come up with my own pseudonym. I feel like I'm missing out by having my real name out here. And it's everybody that up here has an alternate version.
What are you talking about? I've got my real name. D++ has a real name. BTC Sessions is a real name.
Yeah, I mean, that's D, I guess, but I got to add something on. I got to spice it up a little bit. I'm too vanilla. That's what I'm trying to say.
All right. Well, so for those who are just joining us, the way this works is we keep the stage kind of tight. We bring one person up at a time. I see somebody's already got their hand raised. Love to see that. So if you have a question about Bitcoin, raise your hand. We will bring you up. We usually ask you optionally to tell us one interesting fact about yourself. It's a Monday, so share something interesting, keep us entertained. But I've got something else that we could be doing, which is instead of a fun fact, you're still free to do that, help Dennis come up with his pseudonym in the Bitcoin world. So tell us a ridiculous name that Dennis should adopt, and maybe he'll adopt it. So raise those hands. We've got 2 hands raised. We've got some great hosts tonight. I'm excited to get going. And I'm out of breath. All right. Somebody else want to? How are your nights going so far? How are your Mondays?
It's going well. It's been sunny over here finally in the Pacific Northwest, so we're enjoying it. Used to all the depressing rain, so as you can tell, I don't know if you can tell, but I'm smiling for once.
I never thought of that, actually, having like a set of avatars to express my mood and just change it, like a very slight differences. That's a good idea.
Well, there is Angry Dennis. That is one alternate version of me that I play on the internet. And he comes out whenever he sells too much Bitcoin.
Yeah, that happens. But
and I start saying crazy shit on Twitter, but, it is what it is.
One sec. Let me ping Guy Swan into the room before we get started. Okay, so he never has notifications on. All right, well, he'll join us.
I'm very curious to see what everyone comes up with for my nickname, because I've been trying to come up with one for a while. Unfortunately, I go by D for short, but it's like I already have Bitcoin Plus. I'm not trying to be D plus.
Right.
Also,
D
so.
And I go by D2, Dennis. So
I know.
What are we going to do here? We're going to have to call you
R2. You could be R2 and you could be D2. Hey.
Oh, God. We're a duo now. Okay. That makes sense. The world's coming full circle.
Bobo, how are you doing tonight, man? New avatar, I see.
Oh yeah, new avatar. Who this? No, I'm doing great, man. It's been a great Monday so far. I did some beach and some brunch, and I'm just chilling. About to watch a movie with my mom before I'll be calling it a night and answer some questions for you guys.
Shit, man, I got to move to Jamaica. All right, let's get the show on the road. We've got 2 people with their hands raised. Will Hayes, come on up to the stage. Tell us one interesting fact about yourself, if you'd like. Tell Dennis what his pseudonym in Bitcoin should be, and then let us know your Bitcoin.
Oh, man. Okay, cool. Yeah, appreciate you guys. Glad to be here. Interesting fact, moved to Texas from Georgia. My wife and I actually met in Munich, Germany, so it's kind of interesting. Gosh, Dennis, I don't know. I was just in another Bitcoin room, and they were debating how to pronounce HODL, and people kept saying Hoodle. So I'm going to go Hoodle.
It's Hoodle.
I'm going to say Dennis's name needs to be Hoodle.
Hoodle.
Yes.
With two O's.
With two O's. Okay.
It rhymes with poodle. It's pronounced Hoodle. It's spelled HOD.
I think Dennis could go ahead and go with two O's, just to be clear.
Yeah, just to be real clear, I'll add it to the list.
I like
You're the first. You're the only thing on the list right now, though. So it's looking good so far.
Dennis, are you going to actually keep track of this list? I think we should, and then at the end we can vote on which one.
It's community vote. Okay, that's dangerous. We can let the community vote on it, but I'll be open to it. Yeah, I'll write the list down and I'll read it back to everybody at the end.
I think Dennis McDennis.
There you go. That's BTC session submission there.
All right, Will, what do you got for us?
I think these will get better as the night goes on. Yeah, so my question is along the lines of sort of legacy planning and this idea of holding. I'm just getting into sort of learning the Bitcoin world and
hoodling, Will.
Bitcoin standard and everything. I'm hoodling.
Yes,
I'm hoodling. And one of the main things that I guess a question that's come to mind that I haven't understood or heard answered is this idea of almost estate planning and transferring your coins at death. Like, are there strategies out there, whether that be cold storage or third parties or servers, where you can maintain safety and security while you're living, but if, heaven forbid, something happened to you, where someone that you chose could get access to it? So I'd just be curious to hear any thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, so in terms of technology-wise, there are ways that you can set things up. I'm a big fan of the idea of like a multi-sig, but with something like Unchained or Casa, where basically, I think I lean towards Unchained's model, but basically you'd have a couple hardware wallets where maybe you have one in a safe, maybe you have one in a safety deposit box, both of which your family members can get to because you've left information about that or the credentials to access them. But in the event that one of those devices is broken or lost or something like that, your family can also go to Unchained as like a secondary signer to unlock those funds. So think of it as like you have a digital vault that holds all of your stash, and you need 2 out of 3 keys to access it. So, I mean, that's one way that you could do it. Or you could just have, them kind of divvied up on different devices and stored at different places. But you also got to think of the legal ramifications of that too, because if they can't get access to them and somebody else does, that could be a whole mess. So there is a book worth reading. It's called Crypto Asset Inheritance Planning, and it's by someone named Pamela Morgan. And that kind of helps with, I guess, both sides of that to kind of get the legal and the technical covered.
That's great.
Any follow-up questions, Will?
No, I think that's great. Thanks so much. Appreciate y'all.
Awesome. Thanks so much. We're going to move you down, and we're going to bring someone up. We were just joined by Travis and Guy. Welcome, gentlemen.
Hey.
Lucia August, come on up to the stage. Travis and Guy, since you missed the beginning, Dennis is looking for a Bitcoin pseudonym. And so instead of telling us a fun fact about yourself before asking a question, we've asked people to give ridiculous pseudonyms that Dennis might want to adopt. We're going to keep track of those, and maybe he'll pick one.
Has he already? Dennis?
Ooh.
Oh, Dennis, the BTC Menace.
Oh, the BTC Menace. There we go. These names are going now. I'm writing them down. Hold on. We're gonna.
I love it. Lucia, welcome to the stage. Tell us an interesting fact about yourself if you'd like. Tell us a ridiculous name for Dennis to adopt if you'd like. And mandatory, you have to have a Bitcoin question. How are you doing tonight?
I'm great. Actually, it's Lucia, and I was invited by D++. Yay! We're in a Patreon group with Andreas. So let's see. Dennis could be Doddle, right? DODL or Doodle. How about Doodle? I like Doodle. How about that? I know a dog named Doodle. So.
Writing it down.
I've actually I've been in the space since 2017, been stacking sats ever since. So I'm not a beginner, but I have a question because people are starting to ask me about Bitcoin and should I buy? And I've been talking about all this for years, and people are like, nah, they're not interested. And all of a sudden, it's starting to come. I can feel the momentum. Like, what should I do? Where should I go? And I've been banging around all these years, and I have all these different wallets and this and that and trying to simplify. So if a beginner asks you, where should I go? What wallet? How should I do this? What would you all say? My thing is, I don't want anybody I know to go with Coinbase. That's just me. Long story. Anyway, PayPal, have them buy it on PayPal, go to Gemini, go to Kraken. What do they do with it? General beginning. How do you set up a beginner? How do you help your friends?
Well, I'm biased since I work there, but it's the only service I use, and it's where I send all my friends. I send them over to Swan Bitcoin.
Okay.
We're Bitcoin only. We started off as basically an easy way to dollar cost average to buy automatically. Now we offer instant buys also, and we're not an exchange like Coinbase or we actually can't sell Bitcoin with us right in the interface. You can if you message us, but our goal is to create more Bitcoiners. So we're all about education. We give away free books and all sorts of things, and you can talk to real people. And the goal is for us is to when we first started off, actually, we wanted to help create this intransigent minority of Bitcoiners. Our goal was 10 million Bitcoiners, and we're still working towards that. So. I'm biased, but check it out. I'm sure there's some other great options here. Cash App is great too. River is great. Depends what they are. If they're in the U.S., then it's a bit easier.
Yeah, most of them are in the U.S. Yeah, I've used Cash App. Okay, that's right. I'd forgotten about it because I'd stopped using them. Cool.
Those were
All right.
literally going to be my three recommendations. Swan, Cash App, and River are my go-tos for recommending. As far as like a wallet, depends on what level of involvement they're getting in. If this is somebody who's investing $50,000, they're like, I want to get into Bitcoin and I'm going to buy a Bitcoin, then absolutely a hardware wallet.
Yeah, of course.
My favorites are Bitbox, Trezor, and probably Cold Card. But for newbies, I'd probably go for either the Bitbox or the Trezor.
Hey, guy. I heard I was listening to one of your pods the other day, and you did that hilarious ad for Bitbox. I don't really know it very well. Can you kind of give us a quick rundown on Bitbox?
Bitbox is a bit more user friendly. I feel like it seems really intuitive. Like when I did it, the process was really quick. It's has really not much to it. The backup, you plug the sucker in, you download the Bitbox app on your desktop, and it kind of walks you through. There's 4 steps, maybe 5 steps. You write down your seed phrase, but then they also have a micro SD card that literally sticks in the back end of the Bitbox. And it saves a backup of your wallet on there. So I have that in my safe that I just keep a micro SD card. And then I have a different place where I keep my backup seed phrase. And where do you basically
where is that?
And you set up a pin or whatever.
No, where?
Where's the seed phrase? Undisclosed location.
So close.
Hey, Guy, how would you compare the Bitbox to Kobo in terms of security?
Bitbox is open source, so I kind of put that on a different tier. I'm a big fan of the Kobo vault, but it's closed source. So like I like the ease of use for the Kobo because of the camera on it. You know, it's like a phone, like I'm walking around with like a device. I use that as like kind of my travel wallet, but I tend not to use that as a as like a hardcore savings just because I feel like I know less about the people who built it, and the wallet itself isn't open source, so I kind of keep like a few $1,000s on it, and I travel with that one just because it's like really easy to break out if I'm like connecting it to Blue Wallet. Like I can do a transaction like really fast.
Are we like disowning Ledger as a part of the like recommended?
Sounds like we are.
I've never really been like, I don't hate Ledger or anything, but honestly, I don't know why. I've just always gravitated away from Ledger. Like I've never been eager to use it. The only thing I use it as a part of is my vault on Unchained. So it's like part of my multi-sig. And then I have a Bitbox and Trezor multi-sig on Spectre. I'm mostly just in playing around with all the different options.
I haven't heard of River. What is that? Is that
River's like a Bitcoin brokerage. They're Bitcoin only. Good company, U.S. based. I don't know how else to describe them. Anybody else want to chime in?
River is, basically they're a really just a solid place to buy Bitcoin, and really good team. I probably wouldn't describe them a whole lot different than Swan, other than I think River is more of just a like, Swan I think is more geared towards the recurring buy and the savings plan, or I think River is just more like go buy. I don't know. That's not really much of a distinction.
I used to also say that
onboarding, kind of an onboarding platform.
I think they're both onboarding platforms.
I was about
right?
to say Swan has like has really good beginner stuff. In fact, like I usually direct people to like swanbitcoin.com/wallets whenever like I'm telling them to go check out like what wallets to do. Brandon Quittem, I think, wrote that up, and it's a really good guide.
You can also direct them to swanbitcoin.com/free book, and that they can get a free copy of Inventing Bitcoin. So I always like doing that because then you get the book, and then if they go down the rabbit hole, then they can make their own decisions.
That sounds good. Hey, Brecky, are you a friend of Crypto Stash?
Yeah.
I think we met. We met because he's a friend of mine. I was in his Stash Club for a long time, actually.
Oh, cool. Yeah. One of my oldest friends in the Bitcoin crypto world, for sure.
Yeah, he was one of my early mentors. Yeah, good guy. Yeah. Cool. Okay. Thanks, everybody. Appreciate the time, and it's great.
Yep. Thank you, Lucia.
Thanks.
All right, we're going to send you down. Guy, would you bring someone up for us? I think Guy's muted. I'll bring someone up.
Sorry. I was. We'll bring Jonathan up here. I'm cooking, so I'm fingers away from phone.
Hey, thank you very much for bringing me up. Thanks again for putting this space together for the new folks. Real quick about the procedures in getting started. And so I've heard a lot about Swan. I opened up an account, got verified, all that. Swan is all set in the movement. Bought a ledger, or ordered one rather, waiting for it to show up. And I'm been using Cash App for a long time, so I kind of got that whole process going for where I'm going to buy and then how I'm going to store the Bitcoin. Can you talk a little bit more about just the recurring purchase and getting your Bitcoin from where you're going to purchase it, then getting it onto your ledger, and kind of what that looks like on a reoccurring basis. I know Ledger has its own, I think it's called Quantify, has its own, I guess, exchange. Maybe talk a little bit more about all the nomenclature, wallets, describe the wallet, what that is, exchange, what that is really, and just kind of break those down in more layman's terms so we can identify what is what.
Yeah, so I mean, an exchange is a place where things are exchanged. I know that's a stupid way of thinking of it, but that's when it comes down to it, that's what it is. And basically, it's an on-ramp. It's where you exchange one fiat currency, let's say, for Bitcoin or another cryptocurrency, if that's your pleasure. A wallet is kind of a misleading term. We use it because it kind of makes sense, and we think of it like our the wallets that we have in our pockets. But really, what a wallet does is it protects the keys needed to move Bitcoin. Bitcoin is not, there's no physical coins or anything like that. They are, strings of numbers. It's what's called a UTXO, an unspent transaction output. And that's kind of getting into the weeds a little bit. But basically, in order to control the Bitcoin that you own, you have what's called a private key, which allows you to send it, to access it, things like that, to sign transactions. And what a wallet does, it doesn't actually store the Bitcoin. What it does is it securely stores the keys that you need to access the Bitcoin. And the Bitcoins themselves, or the fractions of Bitcoins, which are called Satoshis, those are always on the Bitcoin blockchain, which is this decentralized ledger that exists on thousands and thousands of computers around the world. It doesn't ever leave that. It's not like they're actually in your wallet. So a wallet, again, is what you use to direct those fractions of a Bitcoin or full Bitcoins, or however or Satoshis, the smallest fractions of a Bitcoin. And it's what allows you to move them from one address on the blockchain to another. Anyone else want to kind of step in? How do I do that job?
Yeah, I would
clear things up.
I would say just in like a practical sense, like how would you get it from something like Swan or whatever to your ledger?
That's what
Okay. Well, then in that sense is you're literally going to generate an address. So like kind of in the same sense that your email address identifies you explicitly and nobody else, is that your wallet will generate an address. It's just a huge random string of numbers and letters. So you would plug in your ledger and you would get an address to send to. And you can actually generate yourself tons of addresses. You can generate, for practical purposes, an infinite number of them. And each one of them will be sent to your wallet. And then you'll go to some place like Swan or River or Cash App or whatever it is, and you'll just say withdraw, and it will say, where do you want to send it? And you plop in that same address that your ledger gave you, and then they will broadcast that to Bitcoin, and they will be behind your keys. Only your ledger will be able to access those Bitcoin after that. They belong to you.
I think a lot of time
with Ledger. Sorry, Jonathan, real quick. With Ledger also, they have, unless it's changed, I don't think it has, basically you'll download and install a program called Ledger Live on your computer.
Yeah, I was looking at
and that is sort of... Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I was like, I saw that. I was looking to download it, but it's tied into something called Quantify. And if you could maybe...
Quantify?
Not Quantify, it's called... Coinify, I believe it's called. It's like the Ledger. It's like I guess its own exchange. Like Ledger Live is partnered with Coinify. Not sure if anyone else is.
If you're already using Swan and Cash App, you don't have to use Coinify. If you want to, I guess you could. But I guess that's just another way to buy Bitcoin. That they probably make it easy where it's in the app, so you can transfer it to your wallet. More easily. But basically, like I was saying, you'll generate an address in Ledger Live. When you start it, it'll be like, do you already have a Bitcoin wallet? You'll say no. It'll generate a new one for you. And then generally you can copy and paste what's called a receiving address. And in Cash App or Swan or anywhere else where you're buying Bitcoin, when you go to withdraw it, you would paste that receiving address in there. And then send the Bitcoin. Now, when you do that, you want to be extra careful that you are actually pasting the correct address. It's highly unlikely, but there is malicious software out there that that could be on your computer that might intercept that copy and paste mechanism and paste someone else's Bitcoin address. So always just double, triple check, because there are no, there's no chargebacks in Bitcoin.
Yeah, and that's one of the really cool things about having the hardware wallet is that the hardware wallet itself has the keys and generates the addresses. So even though you have like an address on your computer where your computer could be compromised, if you can actually check, and this is something that's basically default in all the software, is that it will generate it on your computer or whatever, but then it will say check it on your hardware device. And then you look down on your little screen on your hardware device, on Ledger or whatever it is, and you can actually just read and make sure that the one on your computer screen, which could be compromised, is the same as the one on your hardware wallet, which isn't asking anybody for information. It's generating it itself, which means that is absolutely the right address. And if they are the same, then you're good to go. So that's kind of the beauty of having that separate, is that that's not going to accept any input, whatever, from your computer. That thing can't get into that device. It's separate. But probably a good way to, like a mental model to think about it, like why it's different, is that Bitcoin is a push system rather than a pull. So like the banking system is, whenever you go to a website, you literally give them all of your information, your credit card and all these things, and then they basically have the authorization to take money from your account. Whereas Bitcoin is one where they give you a destination and you have to push it to them. They can't pull anything from your account or from your address. So in the reverse is that if you want Coinbase or Swan Bitcoin or River or whoever to send you Bitcoin, what you need to do is send them your destination. You need to send them your address. And that's what you get from your hardware wallet. It just looks weird because, it's unfamiliar and it's just a bunch of string of randomness. But confirm it on the hardware device.
So basically, all you need is something like Swan to purchase, or Cash App, which a lot of people use. I've been using it for years before Bitcoin was available on it, and I need a hardware device. And that's pretty much all I would need.
That's pretty much it, or a good mobile wallet. But if you're storing any significant amount of money, yes, a hardware device. But if you're doing just like a couple $100 or something like that, and you're just kind of dipping your toes in the water, something just like Blue Wallet or Green Wallet or something, the colors are good wallets that I use on my mobile. But yeah, if you got $5,000 or something like that, and it's time to go ahead and invest in a decent hardware.
Sounds like I'm pretty well equipped with just those three pieces of software and that one hardware, and pretty much that's pretty much all one would really need. So yeah, sounds like I'm good.
Yeah, sounds like you're set.
And that being said, it isn't, when you set up a hardware wallet, it's not like you can just kind of forget about it forever. It is, the technology does evolve, and you should, do some research and kind of keep tabs on these things as time goes by, and, go down that rabbit hole if you want. But, a setup like that will definitely keep you good and secure for, a good long while. But yeah.
Yeah, there's also some 2-in-1 as far as the keys and backups, 4 or 5. I've heard people use this
right. What you're talking about is multi-sig, basically, where instead of there being one key, you have any combination of number of keys that give you access, like 2 out of 3. So there would be 3 keys, and you only need 2 of them to access the Bitcoin. So you might hold 2, and then a company like Casa Hodl, which we mentioned earlier, might hold the backup key in case you lose one. And those are great setups too. If you're interested in that, I would just suggest taking a look at the Casa website, which is keys.casa. And, you can read through the website and get a feel for it. It's a bit more advanced to do that, but it's not that difficult. If you can set up a hardware wallet, I think you can set up multi-sig. It's just
so that's like additional security. So instead of me just having my hardware wallet with one essential address that I'm providing someone to send me, or getting the if I'm sending money from Swan.
It's more about it's not the addresses. It's more about the private keys. So if you're using a ledger, let's say, you have one set of private keys to start, let's say, but then you would also have what's called a backup. You would have a 12, 18, or 24 word backup. Basically, it's like you have this series of words that you can use to restore your wallet. And so if you have a hardware wallet, what most people do is they keep that in a safe place, and they also keep this series of words, this backup, somewhere else in a safe place. So if you lost the hardware wallet, you could restore it using this backup. Now with multi-sig, it's different in that you have, let's say it's a 2 out of 3 setup. You might have a hardware wallet that has one set of keys that you need to access the Bitcoin. The other set might be on your phone in the case of Casa HODL. And then Casa, the company, would retain the third key, which would be a backup. And so basically you would need 2 out of those 3 keys in order to move the Bitcoin. So let's say you lost your hardware wallet, but you still had your phone. You could call up Casa and say, hey, I lost this key and I need to restore the one that I lost. And they can help you basically move the Bitcoin to a new address and set up another 2 out of 3 setup. It is more complicated, but if that's something that interests you, check out their website, learn a bit about multisig, and then when you're ready, you could grow into that setup basically.
Yeah, couldn't potentially you just, because I see on the Ledger website. I'm sorry if I'm monopolizing the floor. If you want me to put me back down to listen, I'm okay with that.
No worries, they're good questions.
Okay. I saw on the Ledger website when I went to purchase my Nano X, I believe, it gave me an opportunity to buy like a bundle of a Nano S and a Nano X, and you use one as a backup. Is that essentially creating that multi level or tiered level of security as well?
That's something different. So it's, what they're assuming that you would do with that is you'd create the same wallet twice, and just have it kind of backed up on a secondary device so that even if you lost one, the other one would still work. But with 2 devices, you could still be setting up a multi-sig with, Unchained or Casa or whatever you're going to do. You can still do that. It's just however you decide to set it up. If you start down this rabbit hole, I haven't done a tutorial on Casa yet, but I do have a tutorial on how to do multi-sig with Unchained. So if you go and search BTC sessions on YouTube and just look up multi-sig, there'll be a bunch of different tutorials that you can at least kind of look at and start getting familiar.
Yeah, you know what? Thank you.
Yeah, they're
sorry to cut. I'm actually at work. I'm a firefighter. I just got called out, and I apologize. I just wanted to mention that. I just wanted to mention that before I ran off.
Go.
Yeah. Take it easy, man. Thanks, dude.
Appreciate you guys.
All right. Well, he goes and saves the building or the cat from the tree. Let's bring on up Enga, who's been waiting. 1 second. That sounded like I was mocking you. I was not mocking you, Jonathan. You're a hero. Go be a hero.
Hey.
Enga, welcome to the stage. Let us know an interesting fact about yourself. And
thank you for having me.
Let us know your bit.
So I mean, like more of a Bitcoin. I have more of like a blockchain kind of question, if it's all right.
Sure, go for it.
So basically, I've been researching more in depth into Bitcoin, and I found out that like they use like this hash functioning called SHA-256, basically. And the more I get into the details, I found out that they turn the hashes into blocks, right? Like different blocks to be mined later on. And then the more I did research, the one block is mined after another block. So basically, long story short, my question is, since the miners, like more than like 50% of the miners are located in China, if Chinese people work together, can't they just like manipulate the blockchain since they own like more than 50% of the hashing power?
No. So the way this works is like proof of work is a astronomical cost. And the idea is with a quote-unquote 51% attack, what somebody with a majority of the hashing power all behind an explicit goal to attack the network can do is extremely slowly and or to an extremely limited degree move backward in time in Bitcoin at a huge cost to them specifically. So if they have like 60% of the hash power, let's say, I mean, I actually think this is extremely unlikely and impractical. The fact that that it may or may not be within the jurisdiction of China, it's within a single jurisdiction. It's also spread all over the place. There's like 3 main provinces that have most of the hash power, and trying to actually, it's not like there's any registration. Like the fact that we think there's a majority of the hash power in China is mostly a guess. And the fact that we lost I think it was 30% of the hash power with that huge power outage in, not Sichuan, where one huge area in China just went dark. I can't remember exactly which province. But that was also an indication that there is a significant amount of hash power in China. But trying to actually get that together to attack the network would be an absolutely astronomical task. And even if they did, they wouldn't really be able to do anything except kind of slow blocks down in a sense. Because what the hash does is create a provable cost to move backwards in time. It's referred to as an unforgeable costliness as a topic or a term that Nick Szabo uses, one of my favorites. And whereas something like proof of stake essentially doesn't have this, you're just going with authority or consensus. So they're going to burn millions of dollars every 10 minutes to attempt to go backwards while the rest of the network is attempting to go forwards. So pretty much all they can do is slow things down or maybe produce empty blocks for a short amount of time while they burn through an astronomical amount of capital. But it doesn't give them any control over the rules of the network. In fact, the only way that they can perform this attack is explicitly by following all of the rules of the network. If they broke the rules, well then great, they created an altcoin and nobody cares about their hash power anymore. There's a really great piece, actually just covered Jimmy Song. Jimmy Song wrote a article on it, and I covered this on Bitcoin Audible not too long ago. Did about a 20-minute read and probably an hour rant on the empty block attack and China hash power or whatever, if you want to check that out. But basically, it is by no means some godlike power over the network, and it is essentially how Bitcoin consensus works. People are going to be rewarded for going forward, and there's going to be a huge cost to attempt to compete with the rest of the network to go backwards, and that's if you can desperately hope that none of your hash power leaves. That none of it goes offline, that nobody starts sneaking out with a bunch of miners or plugging in somewhere else, or in the case of mining pools, which is what most people point to when they say most of the hash rate is in China, it's mining pools. They're just websites. So the way that if they take over the mining pool, all any of the users have to do, which are thousands of users distributed all over the world logging into these websites, is log out and point their hash rate somewhere else. In fact, we've actually kind of seen this with Taproot, is BTC Top, and there's a handful of mining pools that aren't signaling for the most recent upgrade in Bitcoin, and they've lost a lot of hash power because of it. People have logged out and logged into other mining pools. So in a general sense, I just don't think that's a realistic, long-term, or significant attack vector, really.
Can I add one more point to that too? Because all of that was perfect. It was just like you talked about in the read, but there's one also end game incentive that people don't really talk about, because even if they go through all of that work, and they actually manage to attack the network for an hour or more. And remember, these are miners, and these miners are collecting Bitcoin, right? Some of them are hoarding, some of them are selling, but they have Bitcoin. So if they successfully attack the network, and that's a public attack that people know, then the market's going to crash too, right? The market is sensitive to attacks. And if these hackers are holding Bitcoin, they are going to lose their money as well. So they don't have incentive to attack their own money, even if they wanted to spend $1 million to attack it. So, if you look at the end game, it's a nice circular logic of reinforcing the security of the network by the actual people you think would be attacking it.
I think there was like a good final point though that in that article that guy brought up from Jimmy Song, where like even if you play all the game theory out, which some pretty brilliant people have done over and over and over again, at the end of it all, there's a command line, I think it's in the nodes, someone correct me, where you can just put invalidate block. So if they're trying to spam us or if they're trying to attack us, we essentially, like, they're employees that work for the network. That's the way you should think about miners. They don't have any control. They work for the network. They work for the users. But if they decide to get out of line, we can fire them. That's what invalidate block is.
Yeah, it's basically a command that says, like, let's say they did this, and their goal was to mine empty blocks for hours, and they were explicitly going to knock out any blocks made by honest miners by rehashing them and making a replacement with a longer chain. And they wanted to make sure that no transactions got through. Well, if they did that for 50 blocks and actually managed to keep that up, and we're just burning through millions of dollars for the sake of burning through millions of dollars to hurt Bitcoin, you could easily soft fork in this sense, like Dennis said, and go into your node and just coordinate, and everybody just say the first empty block that they mined, just say invalidate this block, and then all the network would, every single bit of their work would be undone, and we'd go back to that block, which was the last one with valid transactions in it, and the honest miners would be building back on top of it, and they would now have their own chain that was doing nothing, had no transactions in it, and nobody was looking at it anymore. And their only option would be to allow the honest chain to now exist and go switch back over and do it again. And now you've just organized everybody to make it easier to do it a second time. So, I think the sheer impracticality of it and the hilarity of it, like, it would be a mess probably for, like, if somebody had a bukus of money to throw at this thing, it would be a mess for a little while, but you would never kill Bitcoin. That's the thing, is that no matter what you do, it would just be a headache. They would burn through astronomical amounts of capital, and all Bitcoin really has to do is wait. It has to wait for them to get sick of doing it. And then the thing recovers. It adjusts. And we go right back to where we were, and now Bitcoin is seen as 1,000,000 times stronger because what do we do if we get attacked by one of the largest superpowers in the world? Now we just hang out and wait for them to burn through enough money to stop or invalidate their block. We log into our node and type in a command and undo half a day's worth of their work and kind of giggle.
Well, that's actually really interesting. I couldn't find anything on Google, so that was really interesting. So basically, the attackers would just end up losing money, basically.
Yeah, and I think the reason it won't happen is because I think it would just end in embarrassment for them. It would just show there are too many ways that it would simply go bad, and the likelihood of success is so low. I just don't think they're even going to try to risk that level of embarrassment and burning through that much capital for just proving how strong Bitcoin.
Right, but even if they would potentially get fired or blocked from the network if they decide to do this, but they also have all of these electrical costs that they're building up in order to continue to attack the network. So they get kicked off the network, and then they have to get fined essentially by continuing to pay all these fees. Whereas if you do work with the network, you get a guaranteed paycheck that goes up in value the longer you hold it. So there's a lot of game theory going on here, and it's basically why would you ever do that? So the theory, the most extreme theory you could come up with is that a government state actor does it because they don't give a shit and they just have unlimited resources. But again, the point that Jimmy Song brought up, and we did a debate on this. We had the people that were pro that it was possible to attack the network that way, and then we had basically Jimmy Song and I think it was JC and Dustin. There was a few guys there that I had them come together and do a debate. I wish I had the recording. But the final point was invalidate block. It just obliterates everything. I think, do you have the article? Do you want to tweet it out or something?
Yeah, sure. It was read 511. I'll just tweet it out on my account. There's no way to send a message in this, is there?
Mm-mm.
Okay, yeah. I'll tweet it out from @thecrypteconomy.
You can also use the Telegram group we have. It's t.me/Bitcoin Clubhouse for anyone who wants to join. We usually use that to drop links.
Okay, I'll do it.
Yeah, okay, I'll just get it from there. Yeah, so I have one more question, if I'm not taking too much time. So basically, back to the SHA-256 hash function. I'm just really curious about one thing. So you know how in SHA-256 hash, you give data and they turn it into hash, right? Like a random numbers, and then the miners have to solve it. But is there any algorithmic way to find hashes into data? Is there any algorithmic way to reverse?
So without quantum computers that don't exist and won't exist for a very, very long time, the answer is basically no. Have you read Inventing Bitcoin before? I would highly recommend that book. You can get a free copy at swanbitcoin.com/free book. It really goes into the kind of ins and outs of how Bitcoin works in a way that's not too technical. And it'll go into the Bitcoin hash function and kind of walk you through examples of how it works.
There's also a video on YouTube by a guy named 3 Blue 1 Brown. The numbers 3 and the colors, right? The numbers as numbers, the colors as colors. So 3 Blue 1 Brown. It's called How Does Bitcoin Actually Work? It's about 30 minutes. It goes because I think there's some misconceptions you have with the hash functions and how they work with the blocks. So I would suggest watching that video. It's about 25 minutes, and that'll give you a clearer understanding of how.
All right. Thank you, guys.
Yeah, no problem. Thank
All right. Thank you, Enga. We're going to move you back down. Dennis, would you mind pulling someone up for us if you're at your phone?
Let me see. Let's do Angela. I saw her in there for a little while. It's hard to keep track. I wish it would keep them in order that they raise their hands in the actual queue.
Yeah, I know.
But it doesn't. So, Angela, you want to give us your Bitcoin question? Are we still doing the pseudonym thing? we stopped asking about that. And I got to give, I like the Dennis, the Bitcoin Menace, maybe. Someone else has come up with Bitcoin Porter.
Dennis the Shitcoin Menace? Wait.
Oof, there you go. And put the angry Dennis face on and we'll be set. But yeah, give us your question, Angela. And if you can think of something, or you'd like to vote on one of the other ones, maybe. Or are we doing the vote at the end? Sorry. Just give us your Bitcoin question and a nickname for me.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for having me up. I don't know if this is the right place for this question, but I've tried to kind of, on my own, dib and dab inside of purchasing some Bitcoin outside. Well, I bought it in Cash App, and I was trying to get into some crowdfunding, and I put some Bitcoin into my Clever wallet. And I did the simple swap because where I was going needed to do a different type of coin. But I swapped it back to Bitcoin, and now I can't get it out. Has anyone experienced trouble, any type of issues like that?
Can't get it out of what?
Out of the wallet and out of because it looks like Clever and Tron are.
Is it Clover or what's the name of your wallet?
This says Clever, Klever, Clever.
Clever. I don't know that.
Never heard of that one.
And it seems like it's linked to Tron. Tron wallet.
Crypto Bitcoin wallet. Best all-in-one wallet. Blah blah. What's it doing when you try to move it out? Is the balance showing up in that wallet?
Yes.
After you did the swap. Okay.
Yes,
Okay.
the balance is showing up. It just seems I tried to.
Do you have a backup? Did it give you a 24-word seed or something like that?
I do.
You do? Okay,
Yeah.
that's good.
Okay.
That means that even if the Clever wallet is broken or it sucks for some reason or other, those 24 words, you should still be able to get your coins. So just make sure before you go any further, you dig into this. Unfortunately, I'm not familiar with the wallet, so it would take some tinkering.
Okay.
But just make sure you have that backup, because those are your funds if you never manage to make the wallet work again. So that's just always have that 12-word, 24-word seed. With that, though, I would probably reach out. Telegram's a really good resource. I'd find somebody who actually does that wallet, like a Telegram group for Clever. They might have like a support group or something like that.
Yeah, it's clever_IO in Telegram.
Okay, yeah.
_IO, okay.
Yeah, join in and just ask. Somebody will probably be there to help you out or answer questions.
Oh, okay. Then you know what? That makes me think. That leads me to the next question. So because I have the 12 words, so if I were to buy like one of the wallets, that you guys were talking about, one of the are they called ledgers?
Like a hardware wallet?
Hardware wallets.
Yeah.
So I would still be able to, no matter where the coins are, using those 12-word codes, I could still access it, or does it have to go through Clever?
There are some edge cases where certain wallets will use different. The technical term is derivation path, but it just basically means that it will generate a different wallet from those 12 words. But if you know that information, 99% of the time, you just take those 12 words or 24 words and you punch them into a wallet and they'll regenerate the same wallet. But regardless, those will be able to generate the wallet that has your keys. That has your Bitcoin in it.
Okay.
Yeah. Now with a hardware wallet or something, like if you bought a new one, there is actually a function on all the hardware wallets where you can punch in your own seed phrase to recreate the wallet. But I wouldn't do that if you end up in that position. What I would do is I would just download a different mobile wallet of some sort, like a desktop wallet or something, and punch in your phrase there and then send it to whatever one that the hardware wallet generates. Because as soon as you have your keys somewhere else, as soon as you have those seed phrases exposed, then your attack surface is kind of quite a bit bigger. Whereas if you generate them on that hardware wallet, you know they haven't touched any computer, you haven't punched them in any software or seen them somewhere else, etc. So what I would do is I would transfer it to that hardware wallet if or when you get one, rather than trying to regenerate it on that wallet. But for 99% of your purposes, those 12 words or 24 words, yes, we'll simply regenerate that wallet just like as you had it on the Clever. In the weird edge cases where it doesn't, you just ask somebody. You can get to it. You just might have to do a little tinkering.
Okay. Do something. Okay. All right. Got it. Thank you guys so much. Appreciate all the information you're giving.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thanks, Angelo. That was awesome. Hey, Becker, I'm going to bring somebody up. I don't know if you're on mute. Let me see who is here available. Yeah. Let's bring up Connor. I think Connor's been in here for a while. Hey, Connor, how's it going?
It's going good. How are you?
Do you have anything quirky or fun you want to say, or did you have a name for Dennis before we get started, or do you just want to jump into your question?
Sure. So I guess I could say one short thing is that I was into Bitcoin around late 2015, 2016, but for all the wrong reasons. And I'll just leave it at that.
Preach, brother. Preach.
But yeah, so I recently, the past like 5 months, just dove right back down the rabbit hole, mainly for like the whole idea of monetary store value, which is what really caught my eye, just having control of your own currency. So I, like I said, went down the whole rabbit hole, figured out how to set up my whole node on a dedicated Linux machine. Recently picked up a second hardware wallet to learn how to do multi-sig down the road. And that leads to my question, which is, would you recommend storing, having like multiple wallets? Like, since I don't have multi-sig, having like more than one wallet and like kind of spreading out your coins through multiple wallets, would that be a good security measure, or is it safe to like consolidate everything into one?
That's typically just kind of a personal trade-off. I feel like the general, probably the general practice is to have separated wallets based on the degree that you're going to use them. Like most of my cold storage would be on a single setup, but I do have a lot of different wallets and different setups. I just kind of use them for different purposes. Like I have one that, like the one in my Unchained vault is an amount that I stack regularly, and I auto withdraw from my Swan to it. And it's the amount that I'll probably be using if I want to do like some sort of financial service or get a loan out against it from Unchained Capital or something like that. But it's really probably just kind of a feel it out for you. Is it going to be easy for you to keep up with a bunch of different hardware wallets? Do you tend to lose stuff like that? Like it might be better for some people to have 5 different backups of just the one hardware wallet. I would not say that you should feel you need to break it up into a bunch of different wallets. Hardware wallets are pretty damn secure. I was talking actually with Douglas Backham on the show. He's one of the founders of the Bitbox, or not the Bitbox, the Shift Crypto, the company. He was talking about he had a friend who actually works in the HSM, the secure hardware devices for like major corporations and like sign-ins for like CEOs and stuff, like in that market. And he said they were talking about like the Bitcoin and the Bitcoin space and all the hardware wallets and the devices, and that he'd been working in that industry for like 15 years. And he literally said, like, honestly, like the products and the devices that I see in Bitcoin are like pretty significantly superior to the HSM market. And it's just because of the mindset of Bitcoiners and the cypherpunks and the hackers or whatever who built this thing is just so different from, the normal corporate setup. And in doing so, you generally just need a hardware wallet. I do use multi-sig, but to be perfectly honest, it's mostly out of I just want to play around with it, rather than like I feel like I need multiple hardware wallets to be secure. As long as I've got a backup, or I know that if I'm not susceptible to one location, like if my house burns down, I'm not going to lose all the funds on that. As long as I'm there in that spot, I feel safe with a hardware wallet. But yeah, that's just kind of my lengthy rant on that.
Well, one quick input on there too. So Guy and BTC Sessions and a few other people in the space probably use a lot more wallets than I would think the normal person would, just because it's the kind of the name of the game for them, and they tinker. If you are new to the space, my guess is you'll use 1, possibly 2 wallets. One is a cold storage for most of your Bitcoin, and potentially a hot wallet that you might use with a much smaller amount that you carry around for use of tipping or, at the Bitcoin conference or something like that. So the bulk of your Bitcoin will be in a cold storage where it's protected. I don't think you need to have more than one wallet. And keep in mind that each additional wallet that you add on top of the first one is more security you have to stay on top of, more seed phrases, keeping track of things, all these kinds of things. So especially if you're just new and starting out, then the first goal is to just get off of the exchanges and onto a single hardware cold storage wallet. Learn how that works, start that process and everything else. I don't think you really need to start spreading things around from a safety perspective. Like I said, these things are really secure. So one wallet, one thing to stay on top of, one thing to learn about, and then from there you can start to tinker.
Yeah, Connor, I would liken a hardware wallet, a good hardware wallet, to a cryptographically secure international Swiss bank that you have total control over and no one else. So if you think about that level of security, you realize that one is good enough unless you feel like tinkering or doing more.
That was all awesome answers. Thank you so much.
Yeah, no problem. All right, we got new people raising hands. Let's see. I think Bolivar there. I believe he's been sitting in here. I saw those laser eyes a bit ago. We'll bring him up on stage. Jair, is that the name?
Yes. Hi, thank you very much.
Yo.
If you're still doing the pseudo name, I have a name for Dennis.
Ooh, let's hear it.
It's a little bit a gangsta name. It would be the Dog Dennis, BTC Dog Dennis, or Bitcoin Dog Dennis.
Are you saying dark? Or
Yeah,
Dog
Dennis. BTC Dog Dennis.
Just call me Doge D even at that point. Yeah.
Doge Dennis.
The Doge Killer. You could call me the Doge Killer
Dennis,
or something like that.
Not Doge. It's dog like a woof dog.
Oh,
we're just riffing on your suggestion.
I'm dog. I'm the Dennis dog.
I think that's good, but I really do like Hoodle.
Hoodle.
Jeez. D++ rallying the troops for Hoodle. Did you just come back to make sure that we weren't voting right now, right at the end of the hour?
Yep.
Fuck you.
Had to get the last word in.
Got to make sure it's not D something.
Okay, sorry. Just to go with my question is, I've been looking at BTC Sessions YouTube videos, very good about Umbrel and my node for the Lightning node setups. But I wonder if it's also a question, but it's also a suggestion. I've been looking at the GitHub page for Lightning node, and it looks like for a very advanced person that is been compiling a lot of code and stuff, might be able to figure it out quickly and install the Lightning node in a Linux PC. That's what I'm trying to do, but still it's really a little bit challenging. I wonder if BTC Sessions can help put together a little more type of like inventing Bitcoin book, but for setting up a Lightning node in Linux. That would be great. If you need any help, I'm willing to volunteer as well.
So I'm actually currently working. I'm working on doing an in-depth Lightning node tutorial on like how to set up channels and get inbound liquidity and balance and set fees and all of that stuff. It should be out on Wednesday. Now, it's not on Linux, but it's done through Umbrel using ThunderHub. And I'll also be touching a little bit on Lightning Terminal in it, but I'll be going a little bit deeper in that on another tutorial. So I think I'm going to be doing a bunch of Lightning stuff over the next, month or something like that. So hopefully some of that material will be helpful.
Yeah, and probably probably will get a flood of Lightning stuff. Well, if I don't just get bombarded with another bunch of audio, I hope to have Lightning tutorials and other such things first. Prior to diving into another audio book, if I don't get dropped with one. But yeah, I think Lightning is going to pick up a lot. And I would probably go with some like package software. I mean, granted, if you're dedicated to doing it like on Linux, I don't know of other than like I run BTC Pay Server, and that manages one of my main like L&D setups, and it's pretty great. I have in like my services page, because I just do it all through the web browser. I can just go to the services page on BTC Pay Server and open up Ride to Lightning and just use it all through there, and then I connect to it through my phone. So I have, like, you can have Zeus or Zap on your phone that just talks to it remotely. You just give it the macaroons or whatever to talk to it. And it might sound complicated, like you got like a lot of steps or whatever, but after you kind of get it set up, it's been running for me for like a year and some change. And I have not had the slightest bit of trouble with it. And I don't think I ever, outside of the fact that when you're installing BTC Pay Server on your own computer, you might have to go to the command line. I never actually had to go to the command line once, just because there's a Luna node thing that lets you install it automatically. But if you can get that up and running, and you might have another use for BTC Pay Server, that might be the way to go, because it'll just kind of install it all in one.
Cool.
One more thing, just so you know, Jair.
Yes.
The two people that just spoke, both Sessions and Guy, they're the reason I'm such a good Bitcoiner in terms of my knowledge, because BTC Sessions had some of the tutorials that showed me the difference between Bitcoin and shitcoins, and then Guy brought me all the way down the rabbit hole in terms of philosophy and anarchy. So, I would really listen to what they're saying and check out their tutorials. But it's true. But also, if you're looking for an in-person consultation, like you want somebody to live help you, then if you look in the audience right below Beef, I think his full name is Beef or Bacon, he actually does live consultations. And you can book him and see if, you want somebody to actually help walk you through and set it up with you, then he's willing to do that as well. So you have a lot of resources at your fingertips in this room, man.
Yes, thanks a lot. And two last things. One thing is for, I think Becky is his name. He's from Swan Bitcoin, I think.
Yep.
I wanted to thank you again for and Camila for the great Latin event. And I also wanted to tell you that you have pretty good mean Latin dance moves.
Thank you, man. I'll that was mostly Camilla. I'll pass that along. I'm glad you enjoyed that.
And lastly, I will be accountable. You will see, guys. I will create a video of. I will use all your suggestions, all the ideas and videos, put them together and set up the Lightning node in a very user friendly way, and maybe make a video. I will be accountable for that. You will see. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Keep us posted. Let us know when you put those videos out.
Okay. Take care.
Hey guys, I got to drop out, but glad to be here. I will definitely be here for the entirety.
See you, Ben.
Take care, buddy.
Cheers.
See you, dude.
All right. Yeah, here we're gonna move you down. Oh, you already. Nope, that was Ben leaving. We're gonna move you down. Dread, would you mind bringing someone up?
Yeah, sure, no problem. Sandra's been waiting for a while. Let's bring up Sandra Quintana. Seems like she's coming up. Or is she? Are you there, Sandra? Doesn't look like it. Let's try Sandra. Rob Forster.
I don't know. Rob looks pretty young.
And female.
Hey guys, thank y'all for having me.
Wow, you got a deep voice.
I
did
know,
not
that's what I was
expect
going to
that from
say.
your profile image.
I need to hire you for my intro outro.
So, I guess I'll try to make this a pretty concise question. I'm sure you've heard it a million times. I have a person in my life whom I respect greatly. He frankly, he's smarter than I am, and he's more erudite than I am. But I cannot crack his nut on this shit. Do you guys, in all of your experiences, is there one thing that you guys have found that's kind of really been a fairly quick aha thing that you've been able to tell smart people, hey man, think about it this way, and you've gotten that, you've broken through? Because I know once I get through to this guy, he's going to be way better at this than I am, but I just can't crack the nut.
Hey, Rob, it's different for everybody. So I would say you're going to know your audience more than anyone else here. But one of the things that we recommend most often is this video with Michael Saylor and Ross Stevens. So if he hasn't watched that yet, I would recommend you go have him sit down. It's about an hour long. It's from a conference out of February that Saylor hosted, and it's the best orange pilling videos that anyone could watch. So that
okay.
How old is your friend?
But that's not one of those where he's debating versus the gold guy, right? This is something else.
This is a very, very pro, like they're old friends. And so basically Saylor kind of hands him the platform for him to do this really good, like I said, it's a really good video. If you haven't watched it yet, you should.
That's the Bitcoin the asset versus Bitcoin the network talk, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. That's a really solid one.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Just for luck that I have had in explaining it to people, it's basically turned money into an open network. And in the exact same way that the internet turned communication into an open network. So prior to the internet actually being developed and released, or the code being available, the protocol being available, every single thing that happened in communication was on owned networks. Like if you wanted to quote unquote innovate in analog phone networks, AT&T was the only one that could do it because AT&T owned the network.
Mm-hmm.
You couldn't do anything at the edge. You had to, like, if they wanted to install voicemail service, like create some new feature on the network, they had to do it on the entire AT&T network. I couldn't just create voicemail on my phone and then provide that service to a neighbor. I had nothing. I had a dumb device at the end of the network. And the internet completely changed this flipped this on its head. And the other element about like the owned, like permissioned networks was that they were all separate. They had to explicitly connect to each other and make deals so that they cross-talked. And but when it became an open network, suddenly anybody in the world could make any stupid thing and put it on the internet. Suddenly a 13-year-old who knows how to code up a website that will convert your centimeters to inches can just put it on a page, and just their next door neighbor can go and use that service.
Mm-hmm.
And suddenly all of the innovation now happens at the edge. There's no center that you have to ask permission to develop something new on it. And the beauty of the internet that actually made everybody dismiss it, the proof of just how great a magnitude of a shift the internet truly was that all the first things that landed on the internet were stupid toys. They were dumb things. They were one of the most popular websites that blew up in like early 1993 was like fishtank.com and dancing hamsters. And it was like just a live feed of like a really low quality live feed of a fish tank. like just like sitting there on the website. But that shows you just how powerful the disruption was, is that those things are suddenly viable. YouTube did the same thing. Suddenly there's 10-second videos of some, stupid kid sticking a pencil up his nose. But because the medium is so free, because the medium is so open to such a new audience, you get stupid stuff. Because before, AT&T was never going to make that. Nobody's ever going to make fishtank.com on like a huge centralized platform. You only get that when you open it to the whole world. When you open it up to your everyday person. Bitcoin has done to money what the internet has done to communication.
Hey, Rob, I'm going to show... Oh, sorry.
Okay, yeah. I was just going to say, anybody in the world can now literally program a payment service, a wallet, a non-custodial financial exchange service, or a CryptoKitty, or something stupid and idiotic, or an NFT on scarcity, or whatever those stupid things are. I don't know. But it's basically opened the entire network and money itself to any innovation that anybody in the world can do at the edge. Nobody has to ask permission.
Guy, I'm going to chalk it up to you being tired, because Scarcity is a Lightning auction site, and I think you'll find it very cool. Although they might do NFTs down the road, so that's...
I would love to give like two really quick, I don't know if you call them metaphors or analogies. I always get those mixed up, but when it comes to deciding on investing in Bitcoin, like one of the best ways I like to describe it is very much so like the opportunities we've had in the past. I think people connect well with things that they understand. So I found in life, when looking back in history in my own personal investment thesis, that it's best to not diversify, but to invest in monopolies. And what you want to do is you want to identify those monopolies before anybody else can and go all in on them. So if you did this in the 90s, you would have invested in Microsoft. You would have invested in Amazon. It wouldn't have mattered if the dot-com boom didn't matter. Amazon was at $60 a share. Now it's at $3,000. If you would have done this in the 2000s, you would have invested in companies like Facebook. You would have invested in companies like maybe Apple at that time would be a good one. If you would have invested in companies even later than that, you could say Netflix. You could say Tesla's a new one. But what you want to do is try to identify those monopolies before everybody else and then go all in on them. So now we have this opportunity to do the same thing, because Bitcoin is a monopoly on monetary global reserve currency status. No one else is competing with Bitcoin. They can't compete with Bitcoin. And the next analogy that I like to give based on determining which one is going to be the monopoly is that's important to pick the coin that has the scarcest and most secure monetary policy. The reason that it's important to have a secure monetary policy combined with scarcity is because if you have scarcity, let's say there's been coins that have had like less than Bitcoin, right? Like less coins. Yep. So Bitcoin has 21 million coins. There have been coins that have had like 10,000 or something like that. The problem, though, is that those coins are built on an insecure monetary policy. So it can be changed and manipulated by the people that created the coin and the people that control the coin. Bitcoin is the only cryptocurrency that you cannot easily and quickly change the monetary policy. In fact, it's nearly impossible. And the monetary policy is basically this: how many coins can be printed and how many coins exist today? Like, can that be adjusted? No, like you can't adjust that on Bitcoin. You cannot change anything about Bitcoin. There's a hard supply cap that will never be changed. But this happens regularly on other coins.
It's reliability.
Using a coin or considering a coin in which that has ever changed or that's even up for debate, it's a bad.
Yeah, because that's already what we have today. That's what happened with fiat. We had gold-backed money. They changed that. And then they said, well, we won't raise the debt ceiling. And they changed that. So you don't ever want a money that can be manipulated by human beings. Bitcoin is the only money that cannot be manipulated by human beings. It's outside of human control at this point.
To tack on to this, for people who don't really get it or don't have an incentive to get it, and also for like hyper intelligent people. And this
guys, this guy's fucking smart as shit, and I just can't crack him.
Bring him on here, dude.
So I wanted to.
We'll do that. But what about? Sorry, real quick. I want to show guys' latest reading of Alex Gladstein's article, because I think part of understanding Bitcoin and the need for Bitcoin is understanding what's broken in the world today. And Alex Gladstein's article on the petrodollar is just like a tour de force. Like, it really breaks down like what Bitcoin fixes, what it's fighting against, and I recommend it.
How much smarter is he than you, would you say? Just is he like way smarter than you? Is this like some sort of genius?
You know, look, man, he's a smart fellow. And the other thing is that he spends all of his time like studying ancient currency and ancient history, which are so intertwined. And so, you know, the guy knows a lot, you know,
Rob, he should know then, because if he knows his history, he understands money, and he has to know at this point that the biggest problem we have with money is the fact that we can control it. It happened in Rome. It happened with rye stones, happened with glass Avery beads. Humans have been pillaging other humans since the beginning of money as a technology. So 10,000 years ago, we started creating money because we wanted a tool to stop bartering. And ever since then, we've been just basically pillaging each other with either superior forms of money or by inflating other countries' currencies through various means, whether it be through just straight up debasement or it can be through other means as well. But he should really know. You should have him read the Bitcoin Standard, because that would be. You know, that's the first thing I said to him. First thing I said was, man, just read the fucking white paper to start. No, not the white paper. Read the Bitcoin Standard.
So hold on, Dennis. Rob, this is what I wanted to say, and it's really a Zen approach to it that's a little bit different than everybody's telling you. All the information you've gotten here is amazing, and if you tell him that, you'll be giving him more knowledge. That's true, but I look at it a little bit differently, because Bitcoin is mind-bending when you first try to figure it out. It's mind-cracking, actually. Yeah. And if you consider him, as you call it, a nut to crack, then I feel like you might be going about it the wrong way, because he might never crack based on the pressure you're putting on as if you crack a nut. It's more like a plant, in my opinion, where you're trying to water it with knowledge, or even give it miracle grow with the type of knowledge that you're giving it right now. And he has to come into his own and germinate the knowledge for himself and figure it out, and then become his own person with his own understanding. You get me? I don't feel like I don't feel like you're going to be able to crack him as a nut. I feel like you can water him, and if you give him more knowledge and give him more knowledge, he will figure it out eventually.
Man, that's well said, and everything you guys have said is helpful. I didn't know if one of you had some little, hip pocket trick that you employ when you're going up against a tough customer, but I think providing him with 2 or 3 of these, A, the video you mentioned, and then B, the Bitcoin Standard. After that, I have to just let it be what it be, right?
Exactly. Give it time to grow. Like, let him absorb it. Let him figure out his own questions to come back and ask you. Because if you tell him something and wait for him to answer right then and there, he hasn't had a chance to process it, right? You're trying to crack a nut when he's just a plant trying to grow. So
I'll tell you my general strategy that has got, like, pretty much everybody in my friends and family circle is a Bitcoiner now.
Even the uncle?
The uncle has some, even though he still kind of gives me some shit about it, but he has some, so I consider that a win. So this is, 8 years of little nudges, but I try to have really good questions that I think will specifically relate to those people. We'll just plant a little seed.
That makes sense.
That just like whenever they complain about the bank, like, be like, don't you hate it that you have no control over your money? And, just like little things like that to go with. And then I've always plant little tidbits about Bitcoin is this. And whenever I get even the hint of their eyes glazing over, I drop it. I drop it. I just walk away. I don't push at all, but it's constantly there. I don't let them ever forget about it either. And if I ever have an interesting point that I think hits really well, and it looks like they're really interested, I actually back off there too, and I make them come back to me and ask me questions. Leave them wondering what this neat thing is that that I'm obviously fully wrapped up in, but that I won't tell them about. And then lastly is share your conviction in it. Be incredibly confident about your stance in it. I had a really good friend who's really smart, really arrogant. Good guy, but he is really fun in the sense that he will jab at you and talk down on you. And, when he's right, he's right. But we get along really well because I push back on that a lot. So it makes for really fun entertainment. And whenever he would give me shit or pick on me about Bitcoin or whatever, I would just laugh and I would reinforce it. He would be like, "Oh, you're just funny money," or whatever. And it's like, "Oh yeah, man, I love my funny money." I just take his framing and go with it. And I'm totally okay that that's his take on it. 5 years later, he texted me, and this is after we would play League of Legends, and we would kind of poke each other about it, and it was always this silly thing that I was into Bitcoin. And then randomly one day, he hit me up and be like, "Man, I really think I need to get some Bitcoin." And I never really pushed him. Yeah. And then one day he was just asking me. So just those two tidbits: ask questions, small nudges, and.
Yeah, y'all been generous. Thank you so much.
I 100% agree with what Dredd is saying, and Guy planting seeds, and then obviously not being overly aggressive, like Guy is saying, because there will come a time when they just tune you out 100%, and it's better for them to come asking you questions than for you to try to be pushing it on them. The other thing I would say that is a good tactic is if you find someone that that they look up to or respect, or they identify a lot with, that is a Bitcoiner, that is hyper effective. Like I know this guy that was very wealthy, much wealthier than me and much older. And I would talk to him and he was just like, it's just a joke, right? When he was talking to me about it, he thought it was a joke. And then he found out his brother-in-law had gotten in like 4 or 5 years ago and had 10x'd his money.
Sure.
Something along those lines. And that was a very big motivating factor for him to decide to go all in.
Gotcha.
Hey, so Rob, we've been asking these questions quite a bit. This question comes up every once in a while. So we put together a web page that kind of collects a bunch of this stuff, including the video we referred you to, and a couple of other resources, including a bunch of stuff from Guy and other sites. It's over at bitcoinedu.com/orange.
Okay, perfect.
Like the color. So you can find the video there, some links to some other websites, some links to some really great audio from Guy right here, and then kind of go.
Travis, thanks.
Yep, absolutely. Good luck.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah, man. Oh, and actually, just for a frame of reference, there's a really great article by Croesus, why the yuppie elite dismissed Bitcoin.
Yeah.
I read that, yeah.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. That might help inform or explain why.
Yeah, no, that's a good thought. Thank you.
That's one of the best articles ever.
No, yeah, I love that article. It's a great one. Okay, let's bring somebody else up.
Yeah, real quick. Yes. Oh, sorry. Go. We want to bring him up real quick, Guy. But I was going to say, I got to bounce out of here.
I'm about to have to bounce too. But
before I do, I put up on my Twitter all the names that people came up with. There's too many for a poll, so I just put it in there and tagged everyone and said comment on your vote, on your choice, and I'll try to figure out which one wins. So if you're interested in voting on my pseudonym, or you probably D++ will probably be over there trying to get you all to vote for, what was it? Hoodle.
I think you have a few O's, like it's Hoodle.
Yeah, HOODL. She said.
Yeah, like
you can go over there and you can vote on it, I guess. We'll see how well the vote goes. We'll see if there's enough. I think we need at least like 30 or 40 votes for it to be considered a fair vote.
That'll be the call in Miami. Hoodle.
I'm about to buy 40 bots.
What'd you say, Dredd?
What's the full list now? I know Hoodle, and I heard Dennis McDennis face.
Some other people sent me ones, but there is Dennis the Bitcoin Menace, BTC Menace, Bitcoin Porter, Hoodle, Bitcoin D, D+, Bitcoin Menace.
D+.
Yeah, like D with two E's and then a single plus.
What about
you
D
do
minus?
that in like 2 or 3 polls, and then just like saying the thing. There's three. Make sure
It's
you
up
pick
now.
the best.
Yeah, it's up now. It's 2. Oh yeah, and then like have a fight off at the end maybe too.
Yeah.
Have a playoff style. We'll see. We'll see if enough people vote on it. I'm not sure if enough people will vote on it for it to matter, but we'll come back around to it eventually. I gotta get another pseudonym. Guy, you're just lucky that you got Swan and now you have a whole company named after you.
I know. Everybody's just
and you still show up in my
name.
search. If I search Swan, you show up before them. How great do you feel about that? They're just helping you out. All right, guys. Well, it's been really fun. Thank you again for bringing me up here, Brecky. I always appreciate doing these Bitcoin beginner things. So
anytime, Hoodle.
D++, Dread, Guy.
See you later, man. Later,
Hoodle. Bye. See you guys. Have a great night.
Folks, I've got to run also. I just wanted to remind everyone that we are recording this, so I will get it up on the Swan YouTube channel probably tomorrow if you want to go back and listen to answers. To everyone else, Dread, Travis, D, Guy, if you want to keep it going however long you want, go for it.
I fail too.
So just real quick, the Hoodle thing, this Chicken Cafe Bitcoin was like very adamant about the fact that HODL is pronounced Hoodle, and she wouldn't hear otherwise.
Yeah, she even said that there were several groups that were using it as Hoodle.
Yep.
So I'd love to hear what groups those are.
That pains me so greatly. Like, I can feel the pain.
They're owl groups.
She was really debating really hard on it.
Maybe they were like German, like Hoodle. We're hoodling. We're hoodling the Bitcoins.
You saw Hoodle the Bitcoin.
Anyway, auf Wiedersehen. I'll see you all later.
Thanks, everyone.
Later, man.
Gute Nacht.
Maybe this will be a good time to close it.
Yeah, it looks like
Travis, if you got to go too. All right.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
Again, it's Cafe Bitcoin, and we did Q&A. See you next time.
We'll be back here next week.
Yep.
Later, everybody.